Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This week we're going to be doing Self-Discovery 101. So, self-discovery, just as a little heads up, you don't have to rush through the shadow work in order to do this. This is just to get the ball rolling in your mind of what it is. And I guess because I'm doing the tools video next week on how to do it. Okay? So, what self-discovery is not. It is not going back to the beliefs that were implanted in you in childhood. It is actually going through and looking at yourself, releasing any, pre-imposed ideas, beliefs, anything like that, and focusing on what it is that you really want. Okay? Where do you want to live? What do you want to do with your life? Where do you want it to end? What do you want to say, was your contribution? Whether big or small, it does not matter. What was your contribution on, when you're laying on your deathbed? Do you want people to remember you as an angry person? Or do you want people to remember you like, oh, that person was really nice, They, helped these people. They did this for this person, blah, 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 blah. They did X, Y, and Z. They worked so hard at their company, or they, built that business that, fill in the blank. Okay. You got to go back to those morals, those values. What do you enjoy? Sorry, I have a sick child, so I think I'm getting sick too. This one's really important. What are your expectations of yourself? Where do you want to work? Where do you want to live? What do you want your relationships to look like? Family, lover, business, friend. All of those. All of them. Okay? What does your ideal day look like? What does your ideal week, month, year, and just life in general look like? Oh, I'm moving things, sorry. While you question these things, if you do have any strong emotions because it's like you're fighting with yourself, those are usually not self-imposed. They're usually things that you accepted as like a child, before you had that critical mind come in, and you're not happy with them. You didn't want to accept them because that's not really what you felt, what you believed, right? If anger comes up, you got to figure out where that hurt came in. Anger is a secondary emotion. And you got to figure out what hurt you. You might want to even figure out who hurt you. Little tidbit, you might want to write a letter to that person, give yourself closure. And just get it all out, right? You might want to figure out, if you need to cry, if you need to dance, if you need to just kind of like going back to things that you would do in the shadow work. Releasing those emotions. Crying is releasing. I can think of several times where I had this expectation of others, and I didn't realize that I wasn't putting the expectation on myself, right? I already knew that that was going to happen. My intuition was screaming at me like, hello, knock, knock, hello. And I did stupid stuff anyways, right? I let things happen. And it's like I knew before how things would go. And instead of allowing things to kind of unravel and fall apart and saying, you know what, this really isn't what I want. For example, debating on whether I should, like, my intuition was screaming at me my wedding day that I shouldn't have married who I married. Screaming at me. Like, feeling sick to my stomach. And it was like everything had already been planned, everything had already been bought, and I did it anyways because on the outside I couldn't see things. But it's okay. The chapter is closed. But pay attention to your intuition. Like when something doesn't feel right, or you feel like something went a certain way, right? But you're being told it went this way. Believe your intuition in these situations. That brought me to another example, but I won't put that out there. So, and that's not saying that my ex-husband is a bad man. We're just not compatible. And I forced it. I feel like we both tried to force it, you know, but things eventually diverge. That's all. Does it hurt when it happens? Yes. But I could have made a different choice. Anyways, go through and figure out your expectations of yourself because you cannot control other people. This is literally from my notes. You know, what values and morals do you have for yourself? Maybe you were told to value your career over, you know, most men are told to value their careers over, you know, settling down and having a family. But some men really want that. And that's okay. Prioritize that in your life over, you know, going out and drinking with your buddies. Having that close bond with somebody. It's okay to go ahead. This is just an example, just as I get back out into the dating scene. There are a lot of people who will prioritize their buddies. But then, like, that whole red pill, blue pill thing where, like, people are like, oh, the other, you know, gender is this, that, and the other. Then you should have prioritized what you wanted to prioritize. You should have put the values onto having a healthy relationship, you know. But if you're here, you're probably already doing the work, so that's irrelevant. So, as far as I'm going to do a deeper dive on this, but what boundaries do you need to set? Because something doesn't feel good anymore. You don't like the way you feel even, you know, going into that situation. Like, if you feel some sort of way, and I'll go into the specifics in the boundary video, but if you feel some sort of way, you should probably, you know, put a boundary there. Yeah? Yeah. And then getting back to your self-expectations, your morals, your values. Do they align? Are they congruent? That is probably one of the most frustrating things that I see, is that somebody will have all these expectations of other people, but they don't hold themselves to those same expectations. The dating world, right? We're seeing a lot of that, which is why I'm not in it. You need congruency so that you don't contradict yourself. And you know what? It's okay to change your mind at any point. If you are really close to somebody and they're like, hey, I thought you felt this way about that, or you know, thought this way about whatever, you can explain it to them and say, you know what, it just wasn't working for me, and I just saw this other pathway and I thought about it, and then it made sense to me. You know, if you want to explain yourself, you don't have to. Are your intentions positive? That's really what it comes down to. Are your intentions positive in setting this expectation, in setting this boundary? Right now we're just practicing saying no to things we don't want to do. Not because we're mean or facetious. It's just, nah, you're not going to put your crap on me type thing, you know. And this isn't for other people. Boundaries are not for other people. Hence why I've said, what are your boundaries and are you adhering to them? You protect yourself with boundaries. You don't say, oh, you need to do this or this, that, and the other. Like, that's not how a boundary works, but we'll get way deeper into that later. Sorry, I just got to read through my notes because doing this video 3 times because I wasn't happy with it was not enough, apparently. I guess what it comes down to is, what does your ideal life look like? From your waking moment to the moment you go to bed. What does your ideal life look like? What things need to change? What things need to just be tweaked a bit? Where focus goes, energy flows, right? So if you focus on, you know, being more attentive to your partner or something, right? Because they really enjoy your attention. That's okay. To not do the dishes immediately after eating dinner. To sit next to your partner and, you know, stay on the couch because you value them. You care about them. Right? Now I have my own ideas about that situation. But it's really, you know, what are you comfortable with? Okay? Never limit yourself. Just don't. Because you're not going to get to the pinnacle of where you want to be, right? And so when you go in and you dream and you visualize and you have all these ideas of what you want it to look like, it's never going to quite get there, but you can get really, really close. And sometimes you don't get there because God has, you know, your higher power. I don't want to necessarily just say God, you know, but as a general overall, you know, word for that higher power, God works. But you want to be in alignment for your assignment. Something we say in the spiritual community a lot. But sometimes that higher power, it doesn't look the same when you actually get there as what you had an idea for in your mind. And usually it's better. Because if you really did get to that point where you wanted to be, you would be cocky. You would be, you know, like, oh, look at what I've dreamed of for myself. Look at what I've done. You wouldn't have that connection to that higher power, that higher self. And that's what we're trying to do. Having that visualization of what you want your ideal life to be. Your day-to-day life, your week-to-week life, whatever. However, you know, big you want your increments to be in. I would really focus on a day just because it's easier to compartmentalize a day. And life changes over, you know, weeks, months, years. So, I forgot what I was saying. Go big or go home. Is what I'm saying. Dream big. Okay? I'm sorry. I have a really bad headache because I'm getting sick. And it's not working. My brain has kind of not worked today very well. So anyways, shadow to light work, intentional journey of healing, self-discovery, and purpose. It's my book, At a Glimpse. My website down there, astahypnotherapy.com. Is it going to focus? What if I get my face out of the way? Oh, it's just not going to. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. But anyways, thank you for being here. I'm trying to be more myself, I guess, because sitting here by myself in my living room, in my office area. Oh, by the way, put up my there's my crystal healing. Oh, ignore that. I've got a bunch of kids' toys on a bench over here. But yeah, I put together my what are they? My hands are so dry. My certificates. There we go. I'll put them up. So, I'm excited about it. I don't care if anybody else cares because it makes me happy, because it makes me feel good. Finally, I've been trying to do that for months, if nobody knows. But anyways, it's awkward sitting here talking to myself in my living room, and my walls are really thin, so I'm sure the neighbors next door, if they leave their sliding door cracked, they can hear me. I'm sure the neighbors, if they're out in their front yard working on their stuff, they can hear me. So it's just, I'm trying to be more outgoing, being more or less myself. So if you just find me on a whim and this is the first video you're watching, consider subscribing, joining the tribe, just trying to grow awareness and give, I guess, help and support to people who are on their journeys to growth, to being their best self and just getting where they want to in life. So if you're interested in continuing, or even, first time being here and you got this far in the video, consider subscribing, ringing the bell notification. I post every week. And then if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'll see you guys next week. Okay, bye.